Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to start. Thank you all for joining us. This is the first meeting, regular scheduled board meeting of the Studio City Neighborhood Council in 2024 Go. My name is Chip Meehan, and we are starting at 7:09 I have. Adele, would you please take the roll?
I will. Terrence, you're going to write it down, right?
Yes, always.
Jen Blade. Here. Kevin Burkett. Burkhart, sorry. Kim Clements, absent. Dean Cutler.
Here.
Dimitri Gutsonis.
Here.
Ansley Gaiman. Here. Jeff Hardwick.
Here.
Charlotte Larson.
Here.
Heather Lee.
Here.
Jerry Lewis.
Here.
Chip Meehan.
Here.
Richard Niederberg.
Here.
Lori Rittenberg.
Here.
Drew Shaw, absent. Del Slaughter, here. We have a quorum.
Thanks so much. I'm going to go through some quick announcements under the president's comments. I want to make a couple of public announcements first before we get to some content. One is, this is a reminder that to those attending, during public comment, you may hear colorful language that some might find offensive. The Scnc has no ability to control or regulate the content of speech that is protected under the First Amendment. Board members are reminded not to cut off, interrupt, or otherwise engage with stakeholders during their allotted time. Stakeholders, please respect the timekeeper when you are alerted your time is up. Dimitri, are you the timekeeper?
Sure.
Thank you, sir.
How much time?
Let's see when we get into it. The second announcement is, please remember that we're guests of Radford Studios. It's important to remain courteous and respectful to all Radford staff we encounter during our time on the lot. We need to respect and comply with all the regulations on the lot. We should ensure that we do not interfere with the work other tenants on the lot are undertaking while we are visiting. And with the strike over, our friends and neighbors are working hard. It's good to see. It was very quiet here for a long time. Couple of announcements. There's a lot going on. Thank you all very much for coming. Our first mission is to get more stakeholders involved in the neighborhood council. We have 2,100 and some odd followers for the email blast. If you do not sign up or have not signed up, please do. Have your friends and neighbors do it. I told Jen her job is to get us from 2,000 to 4,000 by the end of the year. And so her job is on the line. So please do what you can to help her out on that. Yesterday, we sent out an email blast that talked about a number of the things that are going on that frankly are difficult to talk about in the meetings because we get wrapped up in process and don't get to the more important stuff, which is kind of the cool things we're doing for the community. Our idea is to create events that bring the community together so that community, when they spend time together, get to know one another, truly develop community, and the direction that group takes the city will also dictate where the neighborhood council goes. And to that effect, we have a number of different events that are going on right now that we want to bring to your attention that you'll be able to help join. I seem to have lost that piece of paper. So off the top of my head, we have four constituencies: the hillside residents, the flatland residents, the business community, which is largely Ventura, but certainly not exclusively, and the river as its own constituency. We're very lucky to have the river running through the city, and it ends up being a great place to bring people down for community events, and it is an unused or unmaximized green open space that we're going to kind of work on over the course of time. Last year, we spoke to the tree people who have a contract to maintain the Zev Yaroslavsky Greenway, which is the area bordering the river between Whitsett and Coldwater on the north side, bordering what's now Weddington Golf and Tennis. They have put in their budget and we're finalizing dates, but they are going to have, probably starting in March, the second Saturday of every month will be a Studio City Neighborhood Council / Tree People cleanup, planting, kind of a nature day that goes down there, talking about what's happening on that green space, how it got there, how it's creating some real history, It's a very interesting project because if you build it, they will come, meaning that that was once a very destitute piece of land, which was planted with a lot of native plants, and now it actually is thriving habitat. We'll be down there every Saturday, March on the way out. We're also working on a large event, which we talked about in outreach. There'll be more coming your way, which will be sort of a 1 or 2 day April Earth Day-ish spring celebration. That will be, they'll have an arts tie-in. There'll be a green tie-in, obviously, with Tree People and Earth Day. And we'll get back to you on that with many more details. There is a homelessness forum that we are starting to talk about. We have not had a public homelessness forum since long before COVID. Things have changed, not necessarily for the better. And what we're going to do after the election on March 5th is have, probably in this room, we will invite elected officials from CD2, from CD4, from both the relevant county districts, from the mayor's office, and probably a number of the nonprofits that are dealing with providing services to the homeless population. And they will actually level set where do we sit, what's working, what's not, what's the reality of safety concerns on the community standpoint, and we're going to move forward on that. That will be sponsored by our homelessness and our public safety committee. I haven't talked to Jeff about it much, but he's nodding, so that's good. That'll be in March. There'll be more information on that. Through Barry's Transportation Committee, we've been discussing a number of the traffic calming solutions that were often rolled out during COVID. We have had a number of stakeholders reach out to us on the Scnc website with concerns about pedestrian and bicycle safety and, frankly, car crashes, excessive car speed, that sort of thing. So we are working on some sort of program to tie the available fixes that the city can offer, and we're going to try to put that packet of tools in the hands of stakeholders who come forward and identify neighborhoods, intersections, stop signs, areas within their neighborhood that could need some help. So that's, I think, a pretty positive outreach program. And lastly, since people of my age are essentially technological Luddites, we have decided that we need more help with energy and technology. We also need to reach out to larger communities to help us get to our goal of more people tying into Studio City neighborhood councils. So what we're doing is reaching out to the various schools. We are a very fortunate community, and if you look at all the schools we have Carpenter, we have Rio Vista in public schools, we have Oakwood, we have Campbell Hall, we have Harvard Westlake, we have Bridges. There's a number of schools in the community that have well-wired communities that they can actually access. They can tell us when they have stuff going on. We can promote it on the website, and they can, at the same time, promote to their parent body all the events that we have going on. So we have that going, and we're also starting, as part of that, a student internship program. So we actually have with us 2 of our first victims from Harvard Westlake, which is where we started the program. We have Sophie and Mimi, who are both high school students who will be attached to individual committees. The idea is ultimately to have students attached to every committee. They'll understand how the process of this works, how business interaction, office interaction, how all that goes down. They'll understand how this monolithic LA city is anything but monolithic, and it's this balkanized group of people, each with conflicting agendas, and they'll learn how that works and how that doesn't work on a first-hand basis. They'll give us their energy and their technological skills for these people, you people, for whom socials are easy. It's going to be an easy way for us to get more information into relevant populations about what it is that we're doing and questions we may have. It's a good way for us to ask questions. What are we not getting to that concerns you? And it's a far better college entrance essay for you guys. Then I went to the pound and cleaned out stalls. So those are some of the programs that are going that won't find their way to the agenda right now.
Radford Ad.
Thank you. And then moving to the policy side, we're fortunate for 20 years, 20 years to have had Radford and CBS beforehand give the Studio City Neighborhood Council free office space, free meeting space here as part of their long-term commitment to the community. It's huge for us because we know that many neighborhood councils spend half of their budget on rent. That means we are effectively twice as valuable to the community because we're not spending money to keep a roof over our heads. That said, this facility was just transferred from CBS to a private equity company that works on maintaining studios a couple of years ago for only $1.8 billion. And now they're going to drop another $1 billion into renovating this historic facility and bringing it into the current realm, making it a competitive and up-to-date studio. It's going to be a huge project. There will be traffic implications, there will be construction implications. There is the opportunity in there for us to work with the landowner, the developer, to also find a way to get more community benefit out of it. It's such a big project and it hits so many different disciplines, public safety, homelessness, sustainability, traffic, everything. It's going to end up being its own ad hoc because otherwise it would take all the time of all the committees. So I have solicited on the email blast people that want to be involved in the ad hoc for Radford. We will actually meet with the developer, meet with the government people that are there. Everyone is very congenial. This is not an adversarial relationship yet, could get there. But I've asked them to come forward to me and we'll hopefully have that ad hoc committee up and running and named by next February's meeting. Now, did I miss anything? Okay, that's what we have. That's the end of my president's announcements. Moving forward, I am now going to, Lori, I think you're next. No, I'm sorry, yes, Lori, you're next.
Okay, hi. So, Assembly Bill 411 passed, the governor signed it, and what it does is it allows municipalities to hold meetings, virtual meetings or hybrid virtual and in-person meetings. And then the city council passed allowing us, each neighborhood council, to decide what they want for themselves. But we think it's based upon information from our Department of Neighborhood Empowerment representative, I don't think I see him here today. The Department of Neighborhood Empowerment, which is also called DUN, has not really worked out details yet, so it's really too early for us to bring it as an agenda item to vote on. So that's really all I have to say about that. Just to let you know, we know about it, but we're not ready to vote on it yet. We don't have enough information.
Adele, you're next.
Do you take public comment on that?
Do we have to take public comment on?
No,
No.
only on
No.
things that you're making decisions on.
No.
That was just a,
Okay. But in interest, are there any questions about that? Okay. Adele, now you're up.
On the, excuse me, on the agenda, you'll see December minutes up there, which I prepared because we didn't have a stenographer present. But he has given me minutes for July 23, August 23, and October 23. And they have not gone up on the website, and I have no idea if we've ever voted on those minutes.
no, you haven't.
We haven't. So we'll do that next time. Since I
Yes.
have them, he just gave them to me in email. So I'll get them up on the website and then, but we can vote on the December minutes if you want, because everyone should have been able to read them. And I think they're adequate enough. Yeah? Okay. So any discussion about the minutes or any additions or subtractions?
Move,
Or public comments.
Or,
move
I don't think
first.
you make one. You do?
you need to move first and then
Oh.
a second and then go to public comment.
Okay,
I move we accept them.
Okay, and second?
I second.
Okay.
Cutler?
Any
Second.
public, is there any public comments? I know a couple of people asked for permission to read the minutes. Seeing none, call for a vote, yeah? All in favor? Opposed? It's unanimous. That's my report.
Jeff,
All the CISs and resolutions passed from last month have been submitted to our president, and he's working on,
well, you can.
he's working through some technology issues, so we're gonna get those, completed shortly. That's my report.
Kim is not here.
Do you
but-
want to bring the motion, or do you want me to?
Go ahead.
Motion A of the Treasurer's Report, the Board of the Studio City Neighborhood Council approves the monthly expenditure report for November 2023.
I move we accept it.
You have a second.
Oh, do I?
Yeah.
I second it.
Okay. Any discussion? Any audience discussion? May I take a vote?
You have to do this one as a roll call.
I have to do, okay. I will do this as a roll call then. Starting from the top, Jen Bladen,
Yes.
Kevin Burkhardt.
Yes.
Ineligible.
Oh, ineligible, sorry. Oh, if you haven't done your training, you're ineligible, so,
For funding motions.
for funding motions, yeah. So, do you know everybody who's done their training? Okay, good. Kim Clements is absent, Dean Cutler,
Yes.
sorry, where am I? Dimitri,
Here. Sorry, yes.
I do.
Ainsley doesn't vote on this, right?
That's correct, because she's under 18 and hasn't taken any of the training.
Jeff Hardwick,
Yes.
Charlotte Lawson,
Ineligible.
No, I've taken training.
Well, it says on the website you haven't taken any of it.
I've taken the.
Yeah, Ainsley did hers too. So
Well, the website
double check
says,
that.
that- but she's still under 18 though, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
Charlotte,
Ineligible.
check with, our,
I did my training.
check with
Yeah,
John on
your-
that.
it shows yours. Those were the three
Lorenzo
that showed
would
that
be
they did.
the,
Yeah,
those are the two?
The three,
yeah.
Oh,
Burkhart, her, and.
okay, Heather Lee,
Yes.
She took it, yeah.
yes, she's voting yes.
Gold star.
Jerry Lewis,
Yes.
Yes, he did.
Chip Meehan,
Yes.
Richard Niederberg,
Here. Yes.
Lori Rittenberg,
Yes,
Drew Shaw's absent, Adele Slaughter, yes. Okay. The next one is the motion of the Board of the Studio City Neighborhood Council approves the monthly expenditure report for December 2023.
Second.
Second, Jen Bladen. Any discussion? Any comments from the audience? Public? Jen Bladen,
Yes.
Kevin not eligible, Kim Clements absent, Dean Cutler,
Yes.
Dimitri,
Yes.
Ainsley is not eligible, Jeff Hardwick,
Yes.
Charlotte not eligible supposedly, Heather Lee,
Yes.
Jerry Lewis,
Yes.
Chip Meehan,
Yes.
Richard Niederberg,
Here. Yes.
Lori Rittenberg,
yes.
Drew Shaw absent, Adele Slaughter, yes. Motion passes. She will be happy. Announcement by government representatives. Denise, I saw you. And then I think someone's here, Sydney, right? Sydney's here. And who are you?
I'm with Rick's first office.
Okay, great. We'll, yeah.
You want me first?
Yes, please.
There's one more.
Yeah, I saw.
Good evening, I'm Denise Shaw with the member of the Public Client's Office. Don't have a lot going on, however, we have a really great event tomorrow night at the Campo. It's a celebration of Campo Day Cahuenga. Usually they do a reenactment, I'm not sure, attended in the past, but unfortunately this year they weren't able to put that together for the first time in 20 years, but they're planning on doing it next year. But they have Fritz Coleman tomorrow night emceeing, and they have a historian. I have flyer. It's from 6:30. The doors open. The event's at 7 to 9, and it should be an interesting event. They also are looking for more participation on their board as well. So, and also interested in that. I did want to mention that we're working with Campbell Hall, I think it's the art class. They are going to be painting the 2 electrical boxes, they have murals, for the one across from the school. I think it's Lawndale and Laurel, and the one at the off-ramp on Laurel. And we're looking at doing murals on the rest of our electrical boxes in our district too, and looking for artists for those as well. And the only thing I want to mention is, I know that right now we're seeing a lot of encampments growing, and that's very difficult with this time of year, the weather. What happens also, which makes it difficult, is that sanitation has cold weather protocol. So if it's under 55 degrees, they will only spot clean if it's Care Plus day. The Care Plus is when they do a posting of an encampment and they give them outreach, and then they're given, I think it's 72 hours, and then they have to clear it completely. They clear it, the sanitation will clear it completely. But in the cold weather protocols, they just do the spots clean. So, and if it rains, they don't go out sanitation. So it does create a more difficult time this time of year with that. I'm aware of most of, I think, the large encampments, and have them all on our list. The Colfax Bridge, for example, was cleaned, underneath the bridge was cleaned on Friday, and I know it's already back. So I just wanted to bring that up. In regards to the artificial turf, I know you have that next. I did check in with our office, our policy staff, to see if they have any more information. They don't. They're still looking into it. I just wanted to let you know that. That's it, unless anyone has questions.
Denise, I would just say, get in touch with Vicky Nussbaum from the bid, because we did 13 boxes that were painted by artists.
Okay.
So she has a list of artists.
Okay, yeah,
That
and we
can-
have a list as well, but I just wanted to throw it out there, but I will get in touch with her. In fact, I want to get in touch with her.
Right, she's going out of town Friday for a week, but
Oh, okay,
just so you know.
okay, great, thank you.
I would just like to say, I love those painted electrical
They're fun.
boxes. I just love them, yes.
Me too.
They're adorable, yeah. They just make me happy.
I know.
Thank you.
Thanks, Denise.
Could you look and see what would be a reasonable time? Like, would the 3rd week in March be a reasonable time for someone from CD2 to come join us for a homelessness forum?
Yeah, let me talk, really the best person to do that is Lorraine Diaz, our district director. She's our main.
Okay.
Yeah.
Should I reach out to her? Could you do that? What's best?
If you want it, I can tell her, if you want to do it for your March meeting. Is that what you're saying?
No, I think it actually would have to be a special meeting, then that was the only topic.
Okay, let me talk to her and I'll connect the two of you.
That sounds
Or
great.
you can reach out to her, either way.
Okay.
Okay,
I will send you the email and then you could forward it and just look it up that way.
great.
Lorraine Diaz.
Lorraine Diaz, yeah.
don't
She's
think
our
I-
district director.
I don't think I know her, I'm embarrassed to admit.
She deals with all the homeless issues.
Thanks.
Sydney?
Hi, everyone. Sydney List, Councilmember Hahn's office. Since we last spoke, we had a fabulous inaugural Studio City Holiday Network event that was put on by the Chamber of Commerce. That event was also to unveil new string lighting on Ventura Place. That's a permanent addition to Ventura Place. And that was funded by our office. And we handed out hot chocolate. We met lots of people. That was a great event. The council member was there. Yeah. And so we have the point in time count coming up. That's also known as the homelessness count. That is an annual count of people living on the streets. That'll take place between the 23rd and the 25th across Greater LA. And in Studio City, it'll be on the evening of the 23rd, less than a week from now. The PIT count is a powerful tool for understanding dynamics around homelessness in LA County and for evaluating the work that our city is doing to bring people into safe permanent housing. It's a huge effort that goes on in every community and depends on as many volunteers as we can get out there who spend a night driving around, counting unhoused people in their own community. Studio City's count will run out of First Christian Church on Moore Park in Colfax. My whole team and myself will be participating that night. Anyone who would like to register to volunteer can go to theycountwillyou.org. Everyone can participate. Young people, if you're under 16, you need a parent with you, but everyone can participate. People with disabilities are also welcome. The whole volunteer part takes place from inside a car. Participating does not involve interacting with anyone living on the street. It's a really convenient way to do something meaningful around homelessness. We are proud that we were able to house people who were camping at Coldwater in the 101 and conduct a cleanup operation there for the holidays. But we know that there's been a recent uptick in encampments elsewhere in Studio City. That includes at Whitsett under the 101, Laurel Canyon and Valley Heart, as well as Colfax, where there was a cleanup and people are back there. Our homelessness team is continuing to work with our outreach partners from Scnc and LA Family Housing to create housing plans for people at all those locations and to pursue cleanup that goes along with move-ins. We know that neighbors have been concerned about crime and also campfires at some of these locations, and we definitely recognize that is a serious problem. But we want to reiterate that the best way to address safety issues is to contact emergency services whenever there's an immediate issue. We're also very excited that Carpenter Community Charter is celebrating their 100th anniversary, their centennial this year. The school has lots of festivities planned that I know we've heard about here. Our office is honoring them with a resolution that we passed last Friday, outlining some of the contributions that they've made to the community over many, many generations. And on January 30th, we will host a delegation from Carpenter at City Hall in the council chamber to make a presentation in their honor. And hopefully the council member will be at the Carpenter Pep Rally on February 2nd. A little bit of an update about Sportsman's Lodge. Midwood's proposal for the next phase of development was supposed to come before the Planning and Land Use Management, aka Plum Committee, on Tuesday, this Tuesday, but that was canceled. The plan involves residential and commercial development as well as underground parking on the site of the hotel. We've heard a lot of concern about parking from the community, and we are meeting with LADOT next week along with Midwood to make sure that Midwood is fully taking advantage of the spaces that have been reserved for them in the Studio City LADOT lot. And we are also working with some neighbors on the other side of the river to pursue preferential parking districts where they are wanted to make sure that Sportsman's does not impact residential parking. That's it.
Barry?
Just, well, I was told yesterday's Plum meeting was canceled altogether.
Yeah.
Because I was gonna go and I was told not to go at the last minute. But I also later heard that the Sportsman's attorney was gonna ask for a delay yesterday if there had been a meeting anyway. So there's obviously something up with them, and it may have to do with the separate appeal being, that's filed by Erewhon.
Perhaps.
I mean, it is not to do with the Studio City residents appeal, so, because that's why I was going. So, I don't know why he was gonna ask for a delay, but he got it without having to ask for it.
Sydney, I have written somewhere because I thought I read it somewhere that to participate in the homelessness, they count will you had to be 18. And I just heard you say that if you're 16 and under, bring a parent.
I thought it was 16 and under with a parent, over 16 could be independent.
Awesome.
Could have messed that up, but
No,
that's
I
the
just
impression
looked
was
for what
under.
I read and I can't find it, so.
It's definitely prominent on theycountwillyou.org.
Awesome. So I stand corrected is really what I wanted to say.
Hopefully.
Awesome. Thank you.
Sure.
And Cindy, someone could just show up tomorrow without having registered.
Next week.
Next week, rather, next Tuesday.
Next Wednesday.
Clearly,
Yes,
I'm
you can
calendar
You
challenged.
can show up and register on site.
Okay, and it's not a question of actually walking around, walking through the river, walking through back alleys. It's only the homeless population you can identify from the car.
Yeah, there are places where there are walking counts, but nowhere in Sioux City.
I have one question. When you talk about homelessness, you always talk about housing, which is certainly important, but you don't ever talk about mental health or drug addiction, you know, and what are you doing about those things? And I'd like you to report about those things as well, because I think that homelessness has more to do with our social system than with our housing system.
Yeah, of course. The short answer is that the city doesn't have a mental health agency. The county handles mental health.
We have county coming up, right? Okay.
So the city is not a direct service provider in any mental health.
And so we have we don't deal with that in any way?
Only in terms of making our county partners aware of what we need.
And what about drug addiction?
I consider that mental health. I think it's handled from the county. It's the same kind of thing.
The city doesn't handle any health issues.
But it just shows why we need a homelessness forum.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. Okay, great, thank you.
How do you then intend to get accurate numbers of homeless if this evening or these evenings are only occurring by way of the car and what you can see by way of the car?
So there are teams that are more highly trained who are, I believe, from the outreach organizations who do a more in-depth look into areas that,
And They Count Will You has a ton of answers to questions like that.
Yeah.
They do, okay.
yeah, so there are professionals who go to areas where they expect people to count people who could not be counted by car.
I have a question. What is your understanding, or do you know the details of the Midwood, how they're using the parking structure, DOT structure?
I have a meeting coming up about that. What do you want to know?
Just curious how many spaces, how they're porting people back and forth, how that's logistically working?
And where is the DOT?
Behind the Bank of America,
Oh, yeah, got
the
it.
400 car parking structure.
400?
I think it's 300 something spots that they have reserved each day. Let's see. There are 385 spots available for rent. Sportsman's is able to take up to 150 of them. I'm not sure how many they've actively reserved and paying for. I know that at one point they were running a shuttle. I assume that is what they are still doing. I'm not sure though.
Okay.
That lot is almost always empty.
Yeah, I just curious. I mean, I know they were trying to negotiate and then they couldn't come to terms, but I haven't heard anything of late, so just curious if and how it's being used.
Barry, how many spaces do they have over there right now, do you know, with the current facility?
3.
No,
No.
not a DOT
On
actually,
site.
but at Sportsman's Landing. Do we know what's there?
I think it's like a little over 1,000, I want to say, but
Won't be that.
Okay,
It's 5 or 600.
so 150 is a lot of cars, but
Not enough.
not, it's not,
But if it
Double
was the
the capacity.
employees, that's an important segment.
okay. Thanks, Sydney. There'll be more on these questions when we actually galvanize the questions better in the charter sheet too.
Yeah, and about the use of the lot, I'm gonna have more information by next week. And if you want me to check in on specific questions.
Thanks for being so responsive, Sydney.
Sure.
I'm sorry, are you from Horvath's office or?
No, I'm from Council.
No, I know, I'm not talking to you, I'm talking to.
Yeah, I am.
Would you come up, please, and tell us your name? I'm sorry, I didn't get it. Savannah?
Yeah, hi everyone. My name is Savannah Portillo. I'm with Supervisor Horvath's office. I'm the field deputy for Studio City. Just wanted to share too that our district covers basically the portion of Studio City that's west of Laurel Canyon Boulevard, and then east of Laurel Canyon is the Mid District, Supervisor Barber's office. So a few updates I wanted to share. Last month, Supervisor Horvath became the youngest person to become chair of the Board of Supervisors. So for the calendar year of 2024, she'll be chair. Her priorities as chair are homelessness, environment, gender-based violence, and bringing in younger and more marginalized voices into the work of the county. I know a lot was shared, but I also wanted to reiterate about the LA homeless count. Our office is also going to be involved in those. And yeah, I just want to reiterate the importance of getting an accurate count, and we need as many volunteers as possible in order to get an accurate count. So anyone who's interested in volunteering, the website again is theycountwillyou.org. I know the one closest to here will be First Christian Church of North Hollywood. And that will be on Tuesday evening, January 23rd. I also wanted to share that our office hosts monthly food distributions. That will be throughout the calendar year of 2024. And the main requirement is we need a large parking lot to either do walk-through or drive-through food distributions, and we're looking for partners to host those. So if you know of any businesses or organizations who would be interested in hosting a food distribution, we partner with the LA Food Bank, so we really would just need access to the parking lot, and we would provide anything else. So if you have any ideas for locations, please feel free to reach out to me.
Do you have a date for that?
They're just monthly, so we could be flexible with whatever the hosting entity would want to do for which month. I also want to share that we're going to be opening a field office in Hollywood within the next month. So that'll be on Sunset, near Sunset and Wilcox. We're going to have an open house for that once it's open. So I'll share that with the neighborhood council. We'd be happy to see anyone who wants to stop by. Also, just want to share, I know we've been in communication about maybe partnering on things along the LA River, partnering for vacation days. Things like that, and also perhaps bringing the river walkers in to give a presentation to the neighborhood council. For those who aren't familiar, the river walkers in other parts of LA County, they do a lot of work with beautification and cleanups along the river. So I know I talked with Chip about possibly having them come and do a presentation and see if we can, if they can just share information about how they do that. That was really it. The last thing I wanted to share was that our website, it's lindsayhorvath.lacounty.gov. Through our website, you could submit requests for funding, for certificates, just any constituent who wants to reach out to our office. That can all be done through our website. So that was everything that I have. Any questions?
Any questions from the public?
Since we spoke, we're promoting through Jen's outreach committee, who is the unwilling chair of the outreach committee right now. We're promoting river walkers since we talked. I've not been able to get back to you about setting up that meeting. It's what I would prefer to do, but I'm too busy trying to figure out the other stuff.
That's okay. Yeah,
So-
we'll figure out a time.
Yeah, we'll do that. That's cool. And I have some other stuff I'll just get to you online, but
Okay.
who owns that piece of property kind of
Sounds
thing.
good.
And did you want to answer that question about mental health?
Oh, yeah. So yes, the Department of Public Health is within the county. So if we get information about encampments or unhoused folks who are along the river or not, we work with our city partners and can get LASA to send outreach workers to connect folks with housing and also with services, with mental health services. So yeah, that is a county.
So if people wanted to report, someone using drugs or someone screaming on the street or whatever, they would go to you?
Yeah, they could go to me. They could go directly if they wanted to LA Hawk. For those who are familiar, it's LASA's web portal where you can put in information about like an address or intersection and describe what the issue is. And once LASA gets that, they'll send out their outreach team to that area. So you can do that directly, and you're also welcome to email me directly as well. I can do that.
Thank you. Any other, sir?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks for coming.
Tell us your name and
Yes, well, good evening, everyone. I'm Joshua Marin-Mora. I'm the field rep for the Office of Assemblymember Rick Chavez-Zabur, 51st Assembly District. Turns out our district has a small corner of the Studio City Neighborhood Council between the freeway and Mulholland, primarily Willowcrest Ave and Wrightwood Lane. So it's small, but I wanted to come and also offer myself as a resource for residents and to the neighborhood council as well. I'll be brief. So Assemblymember Zabur had a very successful first term in the legislature last year. He was appointed the chair of the Assembly Democratic Caucus, and he was also able to get some high priority pieces of legislation signed into law, including Assembly Bill 3, the California Offshore Wind and Jobs Act, which will create more green energy jobs in California and also help the state reach its 2045 Climate Action Plan goals. Assembly Bill 5, the Safe and Supportive Schools Act, to provide more resources to teachers to support all students, but especially LGBTQ plus students. And then also Assembly Bill 1620, it's apartment swaps for tenants with permanent physical disabilities. If you're in a rent-controlled apartment and become permanently physically disabled, this law will help facilitate you moving to a first floor unit at the same rate. So that was also new. And then this year, the legislative session is reconvening, so the Assembly member is working to finalize his bill package for this session. Should be done around February. And then he's also the chair of the new Select Committee on Retail Theft, which was convened in response to the all the smash and grabs that we saw happen, and we know our areas is the hardest hit in California. It's a bipartisan committee. They had their first hearing in Sacramento last month. There'll be a second meeting here in LA. We're hoping for early next month, but as soon as those details get finalized, I'll make sure to share that with you. But it's engaging stakeholders, everything's on the table. Are there gaps in the law? And he's particularly interested in going after the organized crime rings that are targeting these stores, because he understands that we deserve better than having to wait for basic necessities that are locked up, and workers deserve to feel safe in these stores. So that's another top priority of his. And then in terms of committees, he will be serving on budget, business and professions, judiciary, labor and employment, and rules committees. Budget will be interesting. We have a projected $38 billion deficit, at least with the governor's new budget plan. So our office will be, it'll be an exciting time in Capitol for sure. So those are just some quick updates on the Assembly member, and again, want to make sure that our office is a resource to all of you, and any way that we can help. Oh, and I also have some cards here that I will need to pass to you all as well.
That'd be great.
thanks, Josh.
Thanks so much for coming. Nice to
Thank you
meet
for
you.
your time.
Anybody else? Have all the government representatives spoken? Just left with the people. Okay. Moving onward now to public comment on non-agenda items within the neighborhood council jurisdiction. Let's start with 90 seconds per speaker. Is there anyone that would like to come forward? Brandon Marino, please come forward, sir.
I get to sit on the other side this time.
You do.
these three over there. Just really quick, I wasn't going to make any public comments, but since I have a working knowledge of what's going on, Adele, I know I should be speaking to the chair, I'm breaking the rules, my apologies. That, Lorenzo isn't here, so I guess I'm gonna be speaking sort of for him. The Dunn site regarding, training, Cornerstone training lags a lot, it really does, I think you know that. The best thing to do for everybody taking training is to get certificates from Cornerstone. It's right there on the menu, and send them to Adele so she has them, little PDFs. Then you'll know that the training's been completed. It might take a couple of weeks or so before it's finally logged onto the site. So get the certificates of completion, send them to Adele so she knows who can vote on funding and whatnot. That's all I'm saying.
Thanks,
Thank
Brandon.
you.
Thank you.
Insights into the sausage making.
I do have Kristen Vossler, you said you wanted to speak on something.
Yeah. Well, I wanted to speak on, regarding jalapeno.
Oh, but it also, you also clicked that you checked that you wanted to speak on something not on the agenda.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, that's it.
The rest of them are all jalapeno beans?
Yeah, but one is something else.
Okay. Moving past to election of new board members. As you know, we were on hiatus for a while. We came back with a small number, 9. We are now up to 14, having filled many of the spots. There is still one board position available. That is to a person who essentially has a business in the community and has an LA City business license. We have a couple of candidates who have come forward. We didn't have a chance with the holidays for those candidates to meet with the board members. So what we wanted to do is give everyone a chance to meet the people that are coming. Thank you very much for coming, guys. Take care. And so I will circulate, or Adele will circulate to the board, the names of the people that have come forward and said, I'd like to join you guys. And then we can see who's available to see them, or we can do it that way. The definition of the business seat is here, it's on our bylaws, and it's on the website.
Can you just real quick say for the record that you don't have to be on the board to be on a committee?
Yes. While we're discussing with prospective candidates, not just for this particular business seat, but for the other 14 seats as well, people start to speak with us about what's going on. They get a little bit anxious about the amount of time that might be required. There are 2 ways to be on the committee. There are many more than that. You can be on the board. The board will vote on the motions. It's scintillating stuff. You'll see it happen soon. And these motions will go to various elected officials and let them know how the stakeholders in Studio City feel about various important issues. You could also do sort of the field work and be on a committee, either doing the committee work on a particular topic, sustainability, transportation, government affairs, homelessness, there's a dozen, or you could actually chair one of those committees. So there are many ways to be participating with the neighborhood council without being on the board itself. So if you want to participate, but you don't have a city license, don't worry, we have things you can do and would love to have you help us. Is that it? That do it?
Thank you.
Okay. We're now going to get into the committee stuff. Oh,
Real fast.
oh.
And that's with help. I watched all that. Thank you.
Is that for later, Adele?
Yep.
Okay, we're now going to go to motions by committee. Adele?
Excuse me. Out of an abundance of caution, I'm going to pull my motions from the agenda tonight. I am doing so because someone has raised the possibility that I have a conflict of interest. He contends that because I was appointed to CFAC, which is Community Forest Advisory Committee, which is a government agency, by CD4, and I'm on the committee that was working on the artificial turf issue, and also that I have volunteered at times for Save Weddington and with Angelinos for Trees, that those activities constitute a conflict of interest. I've never been paid, nor do I serve on any of the boards of the organizations, nor am I a member of any of the organizations. The statute state code 1091.5.7 clearly states that these kinds of affiliations are considered non-interests. But due to the concern raised by the stakeholder, I wrote to the city attorney, who needs time to consider the issues and make a determination. Until then, we have to wait on these motions. So we're on to number 13.
Thank you,
Public
Bill.
comment?
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
No.
please. You
I
can-
just think, I believe you would have to be paid to have any conflict, and you are not.
I know, but just,
And I think the city attorney will say that to you.
but,
After being
But she
reasonable.
hasn't yet.
but she has to consider it, and I have to, and out of an abundance of caution, I know that I've not violated any of the statutes, and I know that she will come to the same conclusion, but she has to come to that conclusion.
Thank you. And thank you for doing that. That was hard to do, and I appreciate
It was
the
not
courage.
easy.
Land Use Committee, I believe we have an amendment to the motion that you see. Barry, you're going to represent that?
Yes.
Speaking of other courageous moves so the land use chair is recusing on the issue of jalapeno beets. And because of her recusal is not here with us today. And I thank her for making that difficult decision.
And before I read anything, I just was gonna say, the land use committee did meet last week, a week ago tonight, and had 2 applications to review. One, you will have a motion tonight, but the other one was, called The Blossom at 11150 Ventura Boulevard. It's like, a banquet hall. And they did not have all the information we needed, and they will be returning next month with more information. And I also understand that they're now even offering the land use committee a tour of the building, which would be helpful because we have many concerns about their 3rd floor open roof right across from Marshall's and the residences surrounding it. So to be continued on that one. So getting to
250 seats on the roof.
It's huge. Yes.
To tonight's motion, Dean is offering an amendment which you have before you, and in the red is just the additions to the committee's motion, and it's just clarifying some points, so I'm gonna read it. The Board of the Studio City Neighborhood Council, SCNC, opposes the 2018 requested renewal application for Jalapeno Pete's because of non-compliance of the 2010 conditions of which the business is supposed to be operating under. The SCNC does support the original CUP as described in the October 22nd, 2010 Planning Department determination letter for case number ZA 2010-0899 CUB ZB for 11612 West Ventura Boulevard. Specific items noted below. 1, the continued capacity limitations of 117 indoor and 26 outdoor/patio customers. 2, keeping the establishment's business hours to the following existing hours: Sunday through Thursday, 11 a.m. to 11 p.m., Friday and Saturday, 11 a.m. to 1:30 a.m. 3, the hours of operation for the sidewalk dining must be limited to 26 customers, and the hours of 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. daily. Noise has been a consistent stakeholder complaint since the installation of the Ventura Boulevard frontage sidewalk windows. The audio must be turned off from the outside TV monitors and music loudspeakers at all times of operation, because this sound can be heard on the outside of the building and throughout the surrounding neighborhoods. Unless the amplified sound can be limited to the legally permissible level, the roll-up garage door style windows must be closed at all times. 4, the Ventura Cahuenga Boulevard Corridor Specific Plan requires the covenant for the 30 off-site parking spaces within 750 feet from the project site with free valet service. These requirements, in parentheses, proof, must be submitted and accepted by the planning department before the current renewal is approved. And we need a second.
Second.
Again.
Dimitri was first, I think. Thank you. So I guess, Chip, we go to public comment.
I have lots of it. I have
Okay.
lots of it. Kristen?
Should we limit this to 90 seconds?
Yeah. Kristen?
Want to reiterate how awful the sound is, and it reverberates against the mountains and comes into our neighborhood. It's so loud. If they could just keep those windows closed and they could contain the noise, we could live with it. It's not, it's not that big of a deal, but the noise level and the motorcycles late at night, they stop serving at 1:30 at night, and there's still motorcycles racing down the street at 2 a.m. It's, and the clientele, out front serving drinks, they dare each other to run across the street. It's just, it's insane. That's all I have to say.
Thank you. Does this look like Maria, but Bonneville?
That's 14 feet.
Somebody?
That's a different.
Oh, I'm sorry, wrong one. Alexis Prescott? Oh, she's talking, I'll come back to you, that's all right. Debbie Vossler?
Hello, my name is Debbie Vossler. I live on Kelsey Street, which is the street north of the river. And the sound from Jalapeno Beach, as Kristen said, is unbelievable. On summer nights, it's like 2:30, you hear the motorcycles screaming. I don't know who's screaming, but they scream. And it wakes you up, you have your window open. And they have not complied with I can't figure out what they're supposed to do versus what they do. They're not supposed to be open till 2 a.m. They're not supposed to have the sound reverberating, but yet they do. So I guess there's no enforcement agency that's supposed to enforce the rules that they have now. We came to you because the land use committee, they have not had their permits renewed because it was Raphael's Restaurant, which was a restaurant, a nice restaurant. And now it's a sports bar with the soccer and the football and the basketball, which is completely different than the covenants they were operating under before. So I wish you would consider this motion to try to mitigate what they have done to the neighborhood. Thank you.
Thank you. Alexis Prescott?
Hi, good evening. Thank you all for volunteering. In all honesty, I would rather have a root canal than speak publicly, so this is really hard, but I'm sure I'm gonna echo a lot of what was said. I also live in the Colfax Meadows neighborhood, and the noise from Jalapeno Pete's is regularly very, very disruptive. They don't observe what the rules are supposed to be. I'm not quite understand, I don't do a lot of this kind of stuff, so it looks like that you want to keep them to what their original authorization was, is that correct?
Yes.
So I am all for that, please. I don't know how it would be enforced, because right now they tend to break whatever rules are in place. And if they have anything amplified, we hear it all. It echoes against the hills, and it echoes in the river channel and until the wee hours of the morning. So, there are, a couple hundred homes that are affected with all the people that live in them. It's a really big issue. It's an intrusion on our enjoyment of our property and where we live, and then I have a question. Can I do that?
Yeah.
I'm wondering, it said they're requesting parking. They need to get 30 spaces for within 750 feet. Like, where are they gonna do that? Is my question, I guess.
It was a condition of the original conditional use permit, so we
Okay.
haven't seen it.
Yeah, I mean,
We're
they're
trying
just
to-
putting them on the street. They're putting them in the neighborhood.
There's conditions associated with it.
Okay.
There's some rules that they could follow, but we're still trying to figure out where and what.
Okay. All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Bill Bossler?
I think I'm kind of going over some of the things that Bart has said, but one of the big problems is with this restaurant is there's 3 hard surfaces and then an open front door. And I pulled this off the internet and it says, a megaphone operates on the principle of acoustic reflection and amplification. It captures the sound waves from a person's voice and other devices and directs them in a focused manner, enhancing the intensity and making it audible over a long distance. And that's our problem. When those doors are open, it's in our backyard. And we're 950 feet, as the crow flies, across the river from this Jalapeno Pete's. So I would hope you kind of keep that in consideration, that this deal where, well, you have to close down the outside at 10 o'clock, does that mean they're gonna close the doors? Because these big roll-up doors that's open, that just kind of makes this just the amphitheater out, so. Anyhow, if you can maybe have any input to whoever makes these decisions, I really appreciate your volunteer and your help. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Tom Bossler?
Thank you. I live in the Colfax Meadow area, and same thing, it's just all about the noise. And thank the committee last week that rolled up their sleeves and came up with that proposal. And I mostly want to address item number 3, which it's all about the noise. And you can stand at the intersection of Kelsey and Beck and look at the mountains and go, echo, and it bounces right back. We're that close. I'm only a little over 800 feet away from the front door of Jalapeno Pete's, which everybody goes, well, you got the big wash there and you got all this trees and stuff like that. You won't hear it. You can hear it. Monday night, for some reason, 1:15 a.m., it was blaring up there. I guess they were happy that Buffalo Bills won or something. I don't know. But it's all about the noise. So thank you for everything you guys do. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other public comment on this agenda item? Yes, please, Brandon.
I can just sit right here. It just sounds like that, I mean, residents have an expectation of quiet living. And it sounds like, I'm no expert on this, but LAMC noise regulations as it pertains to residential districts, sounds like it's in play here. Obviously, if you're on Ventura Boulevard, that's one thing, but if you're in the residential area, 10 p.m. is pretty much the cutoff, from what I understand. And it sounds like, he sits down and makes business. It sounds like this is a residential noise issue. I don't know if the LAHD can weigh in on this as to whether or not residents have rights regarding noise pollution coming from businesses that are focused at the residential community, but it sounds like a residential noise ordinance issue. Again, I'm not an expert on this, but that sounds like the path you should take. So I have nothing more to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other public comment?
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Just 2 questions. One, has anyone reached out to Jalapeno Pete's? And what has been their response?
There was a phone meeting with the city zoning planning person several weeks ago, and their response was to deny all of our claims, to say that it wasn't true. They told a lot of things that weren't true. They had changed their website on the late night happy hour to make it look like it didn't exist. They were completely adversarial.
Okay. And then my second question is, do they know about this resolution tonight? Have they been put on notice so they have an opportunity to come here and present their side?
They were told at that hearing that the whole issue was being forwarded back to the neighborhood council, first the land use committee, and then tonight's board meeting. They were told that the hearing officer is not making her decision until like Monday. So whatever happens here tonight, if we have a motion, we have to get it sent to her because she's delaying her decision. And they are aware of that timeline. And they chose not to show last week, and I guess they chose not to show tonight.
Thank you.
And just to recap, this motion basically is saying, in so many words, you know, why don't you follow what you were supposed to have done since 2010 before you ever get anything more than what you're not abiding by for, you know, the last 14 years.
Barry, do they own or do they rent that space?
Board.
I think they own it.
Do
I
you
don't
know
think there's they answer to a landlord.
Yeah, it's.
I didn't look, I don't know, but I don't think it really matters, landlord. Doesn't matter, they have conditional use and ownership is something entirely different.
And they're not following the
And they
conditional use.
don't follow it.
So what's our recourse if they don't follow the conditional use?
It can be withdrawn.
It can be withdrawn.
To code enforcement, yeah.
Can we withdraw, can we get it withdrawn?
Well, that's why they're coming up to
It's a
have.
process, but this
Oh,
is a
because they're
start.
having a renewal
They'll
of their
have to
CUP.
renew
Yeah,
it.
it's a renewal.
Yeah.
It sounds like they purchased the property with the CUP, with these terms already in place, and now they're having to go back to the planning department and request.
This property owner bought the property. It was previously an adult novelty store as a retail store. There was a fine dining restaurant, Raphael's, their last name, that was there for a number of years. It's ambiguous if the Raphael family is still operating Jalapeno Pete's. It appears as the operator in some paperwork and not in others, but they are the property owner and have been back from the fine dining time, which was obviously quieter. They also were very clear that they would not join the Land Use Committee or the Studio City Neighborhood Council Board meeting because of some past alleged unfair treatment at the hand of the board from 2019. And they told the zoning administrator that they would not come. And she said, in all fairness, I'm not going to base my entire decision on what the board says. But I won't get to this until the 22nd of January. And that will be plenty of time for the board to weigh in. I'd like to hear what the board has to say. So
And this is that response.
this is the response of the board that needs to get with my proper signature to the zoning administrator Friday.
May I make a comment?
Oh, we did.
Since we're
Yeah.
already talking,
Yeah.
okay. Yeah, so in connection with, the amplified sound and noise ordinances, so where it says, unless the amplified sound can be limited to the legally permissible level, the roll-up garage door with side windows must be closed at all times. So there are several ordinances that would be in effect, would be applicable.
And I
So
think
that's
it's-
what we're referring to.
I think it's 88 decibels, a certain, like 48 inches from the outside of the building in the original CUP. It's quantified.
Yeah.
I have a question to you guys. Do the roll-up doors successfully limit the sound?
When they're closed.
When they're closed, that works.
I've never seen them be so. Open or closed? Closed. I've never seen them closed. They were closed last week because it was so cold.
You know, if they don't have a lot of business, if they don't have a lot of business, they're closed.
I was there at
Yeah,
6.
that's basically.
Or if it's cold, they're
Yeah.
closed.
So that kind of takes care of the noise that probably there.
It's a moot point, yeah.
I have a question.
The other issue with, I'm sorry, but as far as sound, we're discussing today's problem, which is the reflectivity of the hardscape in and around the channel and the fact that plants visually screen something, but they don't acoustically, the elder care builder is gonna go up there. So in the next 36 months, there will be a 40 some odd foot building on the corner where Jinkies is right now. Sound's gonna be a problem potentially with a different impact, because I don't know, but the sound coming out of that building now moving north could reflect back up to the hills as it bounces off the elder care structure. I don't know how that structure is going to
change it,
impact the sound. It's not a flat wall, right? It's kind of staggered and it may break it up, but the sound's not gonna go away.
It's still gonna have an effect.
Yeah.
To somebody.
To somebody.
Well, it's gonna have an effect on the people who are, the new residents who are living there as well.
But it's an elder care, they won't be able to
Yeah.
do this.
Hey.
Sorry.
It's not limited to just sound. There's parking issues, there's,
That's another question.
avoiding the sidewalk, there's, I was there at 6:30 tonight, there's 10 four tops, 40 people, and a two top, so there's 42, they're only allowed to have 26. So that is just flagrant, right for everyone's plain view. So there's just a number of, violations that aren't being enforced, but they're just not following the conditions.
Yeah, I just want to say that it's not just the people across the river too. I'm behind the club. I'm literally the first house. And it's people all the way up in picturesque here as well. Because you know what happens, just sports bars, people go outside and talk about the game. People will hang out in the corner for 20 minutes and just woo-hoo and yell and stuff. Look, I was here when it was a club, so I'm very grateful to have a sports bar compared to what was there. But I do think there should be some restrictions, like as far as it's like being open 1:30. I mean, I don't know if that's really necessary.
The other question is, with the parking, I mean, they're supposed to have 30 spaces within 750 feet. Is that possible? Is that a gotcha? I mean, it's just, is there a parking lot, or is there some way for them to do that? And if not, they're gonna have to figure out some other solution to the CUP, which talks about parking, which is not for us to say. We have to say, you have to go back to the original CUP.
Well, they purportedly had it then.
Right.
Should have demonstrated it, and so no one can find evidence of it in operation, or even, often these agreements get written and they don't actually work in practice. They're for entitlement purposes, so they work in theory but not in practice.
Is their CUP application now? What are the terms that they're asking for?
They wanted to open earlier on the weekends. No, they didn't actually. They wanted to stay open to 2 o'clock in the morning, Monday through Sunday. Right now, they have Sunday through Thursday, 11 to 11. And they, Friday and Saturday, right now, they have Sunday through Thursday, 11 to 11. Friday, Saturday, 11 to 1:30. They wanted to be Monday through Sunday, 2 a.m. One of the conversations that was part of the zoning administrator conversation, and their attorney seemingly thought of this on the fly, is that if the playoff games are happening at 10 in the morning, what if we opened a little bit earlier? And so on Saturday and Sunday. So that was sort of, okay, if they were open at 9 o'clock in the morning on Saturday or Sunday. I wasn't there because I wasn't able to attend the meeting, but I guess the point of the land use committee was, no, don't give them the concession of the earlier weekend, since they're so clearly in violation. If they're compliant, then we can talk about it, but giving more leash didn't make sense. Is that
I believe they, yes,
Yes.
absolutely. And I believe they also want to add a live entertainment component,
Yeah.
which is really undefined.
Because right now they can have.
Sure, it's not going to be just mariachis.
Well, because right now they're in the CUP, they can have 2 band members, I believe, of unamplified music. So Woody Guthrie and accompanist, and they wanted to have amplified music. Woody Guthrie. And they apparently also have karaoke one night.
Oh, fun.
And that sounds like amplified music, and that sounds like it's at least silent, but potentially in violation of the existing CUP.
I just wanted to say one question to Barry. Is it possible that we cut back on their hours? I mean, like, instead of one.
I don't think
I don't think so.
the hearing admit, remember, this comes down to one person in planning deciding, and I think if we were to do that, it almost looks like we're being punishing. And this way, we're just, saying they haven't abided by what they're supposed to do. We'll stick with what they're supposed to have done for 14 years. So, yeah, we didn't consider cutting back.
Do we have proof of violation of have people complained?
People have witnessed it, yes.
And have they complained, made official complaints so we have it on record?
The police department.
The
Police
police
department would
department.
have a
If you
report,
make a
and those
police
reports
record,
can
they
be
put it
submitted
down.
to the zoning
No,
administrator.
we do not have a solid track record over the course of time, simply because if you call the non-emergency line, you're on the phone for 45 minutes, it gets frustrated. So
And even
that,
if they send somebody out, there's not always a record.
there's not a great record, and that's one of the reasons why we talked about having on the website sort of a complaint desk. Call the SCNC, and there would be a way to sit there and say, here's my name, here's my address, it's Friday night, it's
For
1:30.
us to track it and keep
Yeah,
it.
Yeah, that'd be great. That'd be great.
And so we're speaking about having Kevin kind of do it, so this is automatically collated, so that every single address that's problematic, we don't have that yet, there's not a great record. And what the applicant is able to do is come up with a document that goes through 2006 that showed 9 or 11 signage problems that were, so it looks like the building department has fixed everything. So other than witnesses and a rash of photos that have come through in the last couple of weeks, I mean, what Dean saw today with the tables is less than I have seen with the tables. I rode my bike down there a couple times since it's been coming up. They're allowed 26 people on the patio. The patio is the sidewalk and the curb, right? There's no patio. This is, so there were, I forget the number of tables, but there might have been as many as 22 tables, 11 on both sides, with the feet of the tables on the northernmost side on the sidewalk. So you literally can't get through, and there are photos of that.
And we're putting that in, are we putting that in?
That the residents have been adding that into the zoning record, and I'm
Got it.
getting CC'd on it relentlessly for the past 2 weeks.
So can we, Barry, would you recommend that we deny the CUP, or you're saying just for them to stick to the CUP?
Stick to the 2010 one, which is what this motion pretty much says.
What this motion says is that we oppose their renewal application because of non-compliance.
Right.
So we're saying we oppose any renewal.
Well, no, what it says is
And
it
then
opposes
why?
the 2018 requested renewal application.
Oh, today
which
is
is the
not-
one that has the expanded hours.
Got it.
And says we do support the original 2010 CUP.
Does it say
The-
that? It says does
The
not.
hearing administrator will know exactly what we mean from this.
He will?
Yeah, look at the
will.
dates, right? There's a 2018 and a 2010.
Got it.
The 2000.
I'm just saying, can we go harder? There's nothing harder.
No.
Okay. Got it? That's
The
all.
only thing harder would be, like you said, if we recommended less hours, but I think,
It might backfire.
I don't think we get it, and I think, asking for them to do what they should have been doing for 14 years is not unreasonable.
But I think asking a Studio City business to go out of business is not
It's also
reasonable for
not
us
our
to
job.
do.
Yeah.
Heather?
So a CUP, their attorney has to make findings. And one of those findings is that the granting of the conditional use permit doesn't degrade or the adjacent properties, the surrounding neighborhood, the public health, welfare, and safety. So we're hearing a lot about degradation of people's, ability to live peacefully in this neighborhood. And I think that maybe if you address the fact that they can't actually make the second finding, the zoning administrator has no choice but to deny even a regular CUP. You have to be able to make the finding that it does not degrade the neighborhood. And what I'm hearing here is that these people's lives are being degraded by the noise and the flagrant disregard of the previous CUP. So I would suggests that.
Exactly, but the hearing officer already got that at that, where all these people testified to her, so she's heard it.
Can't she be appealed? I mean, you have direct evidence of
It
degradation of the
can, this
neighborhood.
could be appealed.
So she
Yeah.
can make her, I think definitely you should continue on with the previous terms. I think that that's reasonable for a business. But, the fire department has to be called when the number of people inside of a building exceeds the amount. The police department does have to be called when you have people out on the street that are creating an issue. And reports have to be taken. And when you have a combination of those reports to the fire department, then the fire department and the police department end up writing to the city and to the neighborhood council their recommendation as to whether or not a CUP should be granted. And that's given to the city, and the administrator will be forced to look at that much more severely. So being down at Jalapeno Pete's and seeing 400 people in there, you call the fire department. You say there's a fire hazard going on here. You see something going on at night that's a problem, you call the police department and make sure you get a report. And several of those, even though you have a CUP that's been granted, they can have those removed. It's conditional. It's conditional upon their ability to maintain what they say they're going to maintain. And if you have proof from the fire department and the police department, that can be withdrawn.
The problem is at 11 o'clock at night, you can't get through to a fire inspector. And if you call LAPD 911, they hang up on you because you're not an emergency in their mind. And if you call the 800 non-emergency number,
I hear what
you're
you're saying.
on hold
I hear
for
what you're
at
saying.
least 45 minutes. And frankly, I live close enough to it to have heard it. I don't hear it as much as they do. But at 11 o'clock at night when I want to be sleeping, I'm not going to hold on for 45 minutes to make the report. I'm going to give up and I'm going to go to bed and stuff cotton in my ears. And that's why they get away with this, because our city, there's not anything in place for enforcement at that time of night, unfortunately. And LAPD, the first thing they want to say is, we don't want to be bothered with it. They only want to be bothered with
I hear what you're saying.
murders.
And
We can do better, Mary.
We can do better, but yet at
Can
3
wait
or
for another
4 in the
Richard
morning,
wants to speak.
I see them cruising on Ventura Boulevard, drinking their coffee. So they're not in Studio City in this part of the valley. They're not, making calls nonstop. They could be coming to Jalapeno Pete's at 1:30 or 2 in the morning, but they don't.
Okay, well, I'll just say that I used to run an apartment building and I was on the phone all night sometimes with those groups, and I know what you're saying, but that's the pathway.
Yeah.
And if you're not getting the assistance that you need, you can write your council person and tell them that you were on the phone last night with the fire department and that they refused to come, or that someone else refused to come. And those are the steps that we have to take, unfortunately.
We need
But
to work with
I'm
senior
recommending that
officer.
anyone who
Yeah.
can do that and doesn't mind getting on the phone, and also sometimes at neighborhood councils, you'll have your local police representative here, and they'll actually give you a direct number to them, and that you can call them directly when something like that happens. So,
Richard wanted to say something?
Yeah, I'm just trying to determine whether, when Shoshana Raphael was a member of the council, do they get the permit at that time?
2010.
And do they still own it?
Yes, they still own it.
So Shoshana Raphael is around somewhere. Okay,
Yes, actually, I spoke with her on the phone.
You did?
Yeah, I mean, there was an unknown number that came up on my phone. I only have one phone these days, so I answered the phone. It was Arnon, he's on the lease. He's on the property. So he was speaking with me, and based on that conversation, and their reticence to come here, that was one of the reasons why the land use chair recused, to take that personal situation off the table.
Okay.
So,
Just wondering if-
yeah, there's still,
Shoshana.
it goes back to that time, yes.
Okay, thank you. Raphael, Brent.
Should vote?
Yeah. Is it okay? Call for a vote? Anybody need any more further discussion? Okay.
Just clarify the yes and no.
Yeah, good point.
The board, so a yes means that you oppose So the motion reads.
No,
A
no,
yes
you're
means you
still.
support the motion that
You
you
support the
have.
motion.
No, no,
which
no.
is-
It's an amendment first, you gotta support,
Yeah.
which is all in red.
Yeah.
Then you have to take the second vote for the amended motion.
Right.
So right now, you're just, you're approving the language that was changed in red.
I propose that we accept the amendment that Dean brought up, seen in front of you in red.
Second.
Second?
Okay.
Who are we saying second?
Lori Rittenberg.
Lori, okay, thank you.
Jen Bladen,
Yes.
Kevin Burkhardt,
Yes.
Kim Clemens is absent, Dean Cutler,
Yeah.
Dimitri Gatsonis,
Yes.
Ainsley Gaiman, Jeff Hardwick,
Yes.
Charlotte Larson,
Yes.
Heather Lee,
Yep.
Jerry Lewis,
Yes.
Chip Meehan,
Yes?
Richard Niederberg,
Yes.
Lori Rittenberg,
Yes.
Drew Shaw's absent, Adele Sauter, yes. Now we're voting on the whole amended motion,
As amended.
as amended. And a yes means,
You approve all the language and you oppose the one half and then approve or support
does not support, it says.
no, supports the original CUP as described in October 22nd. Is that what I'm reading correct?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes means to support maintaining the original.
Yeah, you oppose the 2018, but you support the 2010.
I'm reading this, it says does not support.
Does not support the 2018.
If you're for it, you're voting for this piece of paper that has the red
I
on it
understand,
in its
Yeah, no,
entirety.
hold on, Barry. It
This
says,
isn't rocket science.
I oppose the 2018 requested renewal application.
Read the next paragraph.
Does support the original
Oh, okay, that's-
CUP.
all right, great, okay. Okay, Jen Bladen,
Yes.
Kevin Burkhardt,
Yes.
Kim Clemens is absent, Dean Cutler,
Yes.
Dimitri Gatsonis,
Yes.
Ainsley Gaiman,
Yes.
Jeff Hardwick,
Yes.
Charlotte Larson,
Yes.
Heather Lee,
Yes.
Jerry Lewis,
Yes.
Chip Meehan,
Yes.
Richard Niederberg,
Yes.
Lori Rittenberg,
Yes.
Drew Shaw is absent, Adele Sauter, yes. Motion passes. Okay,
Transportation Committee, Barry, you're still up.
Okay, motion A, the Board of the Studio City Neighborhood Council, SCNC, supports Council File 23-1177 for the Chief Legislative Analyst with the assistance of LADOT to report on any existing state, federal, and local laws or regulations that govern the use of autonomous vehicles on the public right-of-way, as well as a report from Los Angeles World Airports on rules, regulations, and policy for determining access to the central terminal area and how they apply to autonomous vehicles. This motion is also to be submitted as a community impact statement, CIS to Council File 23-1177. And again, this is a fact-finding effort by our legislative analysts that we would be supporting.
any discussion from the public? Richard?
Kind of ironic that the people mover is our autonomous vehicle within the airport.
I have a question. What does it mean to report on any regulations?
I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
Yeah, what does it mean when it says to report on any governing regulations?
They want to see if there's anything existing before they start deciding what they're going to do with autonomous vehicles in the city of LA. They may they may propose some regulations, but it's still an unknown.
Thank you.
But you all have probably heard there have been some problems with those vehicles on the road in San Francisco. So maybe they're doing the right thing by looking ahead before they just start allowing it here.
It's also going to be important, Barry brought up an interesting point in the committee meeting that, yes, we're Los Angeles, but there's Pasadena, Santa Monica, Glendale, Burbank. So it will be important to at least say, this is at least a starting point, right? So this is our legislation, because it would really be cumbersome to have conflicting legislation in various jurisdictions, because people from Burbank will drive through Glendale to get to LA Airport, which is also its own little fiefdom there. So we need to kind of figure out what the lay of the land is, and that's the intent of this.
Just to clarify though, Los Angeles World Airports applies to all of those airports you just listed.
Well, I think it used to be LAX, Van Nuys and Ontario, but we sold Ontario, so I think it's just Van Nuys and LAX now.
Yeah. And
that are
Palmdale.
Part of LAWA.
And Palmdale.
And Palmdale?
Yeah, they still own the property out there,
Yeah.
13,000 acres.
No comment, vote?
No, any other comments? Ready to vote?
Go backwards.
What?
Go backwards.
I'm going backwards.
Thank you.
Going backwards. Adele Slaughter, yes. Drew Shaw, absent. Lori Rittenberg?
Yes.
Richard Dieterberg?
Yeah.
Chip Meehan?
Yes.
Jerry Lewis?
Yes.
Heather Lee?
Yes.
Charlotte Larson?
Yes.
Jeff Hardwick?
Yes.
Ainsley Damon?
Yes.
Dimitri Getsonis?
Yes.
Dean Cutler?
Yes.
Kim Clements, absent. Kevin Burkhardt?
Yes.
Jen?
Yes. I just wanted to read that. Thank you.
You're welcome. Motion B.
We have public comment on B.
Oh,
Yes.
what?
We have public comment on B. when
Yeah,
you
we
get to
do,
it.
but we gotta read it first.
Okay, motion B, the Board of the Studio City Neighborhood Council, SCNC, supports Council File 23-0363 for the resources needed to conduct a public education campaign to educate Angelenos about AB 2147 and AB 1909 that are focused on motorists' obligations to exercise due care for the safety of pedestrians and bicyclists. Law enforcement agencies also need to be educated about the new laws to ensure that they are being enforced effectively. Again, this is just supporting something that's already been passed and publicizing the word via PSAs and stuff to motorists. And we do have public comment.
We do. Is it Marissa?
Melissa.
Okay, Marissa, sorry.
Hi, good evening. Nice to meet y'all. My name is Marissa Bonilla. So actually, interestingly, I think LAPD just released their report for 2023 for casualties. And I believe 330 of them were due to vehicle collisions. And most of them were due to distracted drivers, and 330 fatalities in 2023. It actually eclipsed any like gunfire or anything like that. So the #1 leading death in LA County has been vehicle collisions. I am training for a marathon. I'm out and about on the streets between 6 miles to 10 miles to 12 miles. So I'm out on the roads for two hours, and I run around Moore Park up all the way to Sherman Oaks by M Street Cafe. And I have a nice quote unquote 10-mile route for myself, but there have been way too many times when people take stop signs as suggestions, and it's incredibly frightening to run sometimes. I used to run at 9 a.m., now I have to run at 6:30 a.m., and I'll say, like, I'm 5 foot, I'm tiny, it's kind of frightening to also run when it's dark outside, so I shouldn't have to be running in the dark in order to avoid being crushed by a car. I've had way too many close encounters, so hopefully, like, there's more support, more education, and I think that all of us don't want anyone in our lives to be struck by a vehicle.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Maria?
Hi, I'm Maria Solfrizio. I've written to you, Chip, and also to Barry. I live on Wrightwood Drive. I grew up on Wrightwood Drive. I've recently returned. And I cannot believe the amount of traffic, distraction drivers, reckless drivers. They don't stop at the stop. I don't walk on my street anymore. I go to Toluca Lake and I walk on the sidewalk. I want to be part of changing that. I think that what they did at Donna Pegida and Mulholland has worsened Wrightwood's traffic issue. I just want to find a way to redirect some of that traffic back to Laurel or to the 101. Yeah, I mean, I won't walk because I don't want to get hit. I have tried for a year or two now to like change my times of walking, tell people, hey, slow down. I am met with antagonistic people speeding up. It's like, I just want you to say that you're seeing me, you know, and people are so resentful that I even like address them while they're speeding up the street. So I saw that there's a traffic calming committee, or how do I get involved? How do we make a difference?
The next, Barry, when was your next transportation committee?
February 7th.
So that
And
was,
you're planning to come, right? Okay.
Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you. Comments from the board? Oh, sorry, Brandon.
Again, because this is fun.
The
2147.
board recognizes Brandon Marino.
2147 is decriminalizing jaywalking, correct? I believe that is.
Good.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
I think this is a great motion because a lot of people believe since they hear decriminalizing jaywalking, that jaywalking is okay. It's not. The rule is if you're not impeding traffic. If there's no cars coming, go across the street. If there are cars coming, if it's slow down, it is a violation. One thing I see a lot, because I live around Coldwater, that Restaurant Row area, a lot of people like Grubhub and a lot of those organizations that bring food to you will park across the street and run across the street at like 9 o'clock at night. And it's dangerous and it is a disaster waiting to happen. I'd love to see the Transportation Committee create a motion to present to Nithya Raman and Popcorn regarding focusing directly on those food couriers and how they are jaywalking across and creating a problem for traffic, especially at night, and especially when a lot of our streetlights aren't functioning because people are pulling copper wire out of them. It is a very dangerous situation. I'd love to see the Transportation Committee and this board focus on that as well. Thank you.
Barry, oh, it's not my turn yet.
Sure.
Sure it is.
No.
Oh, one more phone call, sorry. Andrea?
My name's Andrea Scher. I live in Studio City, behind between Harvard Westlake School and Sportsman's Landing. Two things. First of all, there was a car coming down my road, and I just did this, and a young woman swore at me, told me she had a gun and she'd shoot me because I asked her just to slow down, and I was trying to explain that there are 45 or 48 little kids just in our area. That's the one thing. The other thing is, why can we not make, when it's pedestrian crossing, just for pedestrians? You can't turn left, turn right on a green light if it's a pedestrian crossing. Don't they have that in Beverly Hills? That pedestrian crossing is pedestrian crossing, and then when it's a green light for the traffic, people can't walk, just the cars. To me, that's how it was in South Africa, and I don't understand why it should be so hard here. Thank you.
And to Andrea's concern, you all may have noticed that many intersections now, the walk sign comes on a few seconds before the green light. So it actually gives the pedestrian a chance to start walking before the car makes their right turn, which theoretically helps the pedestrian.
That's true in Studio City, something? Because I see it in Beverly Hills for sure.
It's true all over the city, it's just not every light yet.
Okay.
I would add to what you said, which is that it helps the motorist as well. Because there are times when as a motorist you pull up to an intersection, think for a second Laurel Canyon and Ventura, and there's such a phenomenal amount of traffic. We're talking about pedestrians, we're talking about several lanes of traffic in every direction, not to mention the turn lanes that are potentially coming at you. So having this walk thing come on first is helpful visually for motorists as well, so that they are safer toward pedestrians.
Now can I go?
Yeah.
Okay, so the
California Office of Traffic Safety has a Go Safely CA.org. I sent you a link for the Transportation Committee to look at. It has a fully fleshed out public service announcement situation. So why can't we just do that? Can we please post that?
I'm actually on that committee, so I can reach out and get some feelers for anything that we might want to get involved with.
What committee are you on?
The California Office of Traffic Safety.
Amazing. Heck yes.
So yeah.
I love this campaign and I wanted to start using it and posting it, and so it's here. Yeah.
Thank you all for
So
coming.
you sent it to me?
Yeah, thank
Okay.
you. It's actually in the outreach memo that I sent around. Thank you, good luck.
Thank you.
The outreach committee memo that I sent to the members of the board and chairs.
Is there stuff we can use on Instagram from that?
It exists, that's what I'm
I
saying.
don't use Instagram, so I'm not sure, but I'm sure someone can.
The answer is yes.
Yes, perfect. There you go.
But you see, and again, this is how tying into the schools would help as well, because we actually would now have access to a government resource. We're all looking up saying, huh? We didn't know. We could actually port this over to the contacts we have at the various schools and have them start to be aware. Because some of those overly caffeinated people dropping off their kids in the giant SUVs are
they're
part
the
of the
worst.
problem. So we should just tickle them a little bit. That's right, all those school parents.
Can I just say that I have skin in the game that,
You drive a big car?
no.
Overly caffeinated.
I lost a student. She was killed on her way to school as a pedestrian. And in 2014, she would have been the class of 2014 and she was in 8th grade when it happened. And shortly after Julia Siegler was killed, there was a student at,
Oakwood?
no, the N1, Notre Dame, right? A
Okay.
cross-country
Yeah,
runner.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Who was killed. And so we lost Julia and that young man within weeks of each other. And so this is very, very important to me personally. And so whatever you need, I'm here for it. And that's why I researched this Go Safely Cat.
There's
Which is
also
a terrible name, by the way.
There's a
16-year-old
flip
girl
side
that got killed off
to this
going on
too,
Woodside.
though.
The left turn.
And that is, in my own neighborhood, at 5:30 at
That's all I
night, when it's dark, I see people walking in the street, not on the sidewalk that we have in my neighborhood, and they're not wearing anything reflective. And you come up on, and usually dark clothing, and you do practically hit them before you see them, even if you're going 20 miles an hour, where you're allowed to go 25, you know? So there's a flip side. I think we also need some pedestrian education as well.
Yeah, that's another good idea for, like one of our reminder blasts. Yeah.
And we can tie that into back to school, and we can also tie it in, there's ways to actually get that together. That'd be meaningful.
I think where that comes from, Barry, and it drives me crazy, I see it all over the city, and it just drives me crazy. Everyone's still walking in the street. It's like as if it's like the lockdown during COVID.
We started it in COVID,
Yeah.
some people haven't quit,
Yeah, they're still walking in the street when they can walk on a sidewalk.
And then, you'll be coming down the street and they glare at you like you're doing something wrong when you're under the speed limit, and they're in the street that's built for the car, not for them.
So we all agree
Yeah.
on need for public education? Can we
Yeah.
call for a vote?
Yeah.
Actually, I'd like to add something.
Go ahead.
I agree with this completely, but the other aspect that's not being addressed, and perhaps in public station we can bring this up, is the law enforcement aspect. And we just don't have enough police officers, and I've heard it from our own senior lead officer. There aren't enough officers in the force to actually enforce these laws, or to have a traffic officer, wait at strategic places and ticket people that are doing these things. And we all see it on our own streets everywhere we live here in Studio City. So there needs to be more proactive law enforcement, but unfortunately they don't have the manpower, and they're being diverted to other priorities. But this is creating problems for all of us. So that's another aspect that we'll address at another time.
And I just heard on the news today that the criteria for the new police chief is going to be that that person gets new hires, because the mayor wants her, the amount that she wants, which I forget how many it is, but we're like 1,000 short or something.
We're 1,200 short. We have
1,200.
8,800 right
Yeah.
now.
Fund the police.
Yeah.
A little,
Yeah.
about turn.
But they want to hire someone who's gonna fill those 1,200.
Okay, can we vote? Call for vote? I'm gonna go backwards. Del Slaughter, yes. Drew Shaw, absent. Lori Rittenberg,
Yes.
Richard Niederberg,
Yeah.
Chip Meehan,
Yes.
Jerry Lewis,
Yes.
Heather Lee,
Yes.
Charlotte Larson,
Yes.
Jeff Hardwick,
Yes.
Ansley, Greg, Gaiman, sorry. It's Dimitri Gatsonis,
Yes.
Dean Cutler,
Yes.
Kim Clements is absent, Kevin Burkhardt,
Yes.
Jen Bladen,
Yes.
and motion passes. 15, no, yes? 15.
Yes.
Okay,
Still.
motion A, the Board of the Studio City Neighborhood Council, SCNC, opposes Council File 23-0623 to transfer decision-making authority from appointed and elected officials to planning staff for all quote-unquote, all affordable housing projects. The proposed ordinance would authorize an administrative-only approval process for projects providing 100% affordable housing and incorporates the so-called streamlining provisions of Mayor Karen Bass's Executive Directive 1. The proposed ordinance bypasses due process, including site selection, public hearings, community impacts, the right of appeal, and competitive bidding. It would also unjustifiably grant unaccountable power to city employees, circumvent dissent or opposing views, and remove transparency. This sets the stage for potential abuse and threatens democratic principles. This motion is also to be submitted as a community impact statement, CIS to Council File 23-0623. And I might add, there are several neighborhood councils that have similarly chimed in on this.
I have Carrie Brown, you wanted to speak on this issue?
Hi.
Hi.
My name is Terry Brown. I live at Acama and Aqua Vista. I'm here to speak in favor of the streamlining provisions for 100% affordable housing projects. This city, like this state, has an affordability housing crisis, and we're not going to get out of it without more affordable housing. Language opposing is simply wrong-headed, assuming a level of flexibility for 100% affordable projects that isn't there and makes streamlining so necessary. The language, by the way, isn't just ill-informed, it's lazy, copied and pasted from a recent Toluca agenda item on the same matter. On a final note, I'm a graduate of UCLA School of Public Affairs, graduated with a master's degree in public policy, and got to know many of the housing-oriented urban planning students at the school. There's a class there that has a well-deserved ruling reputation even by the high bar of that program, the Affordable Housing Series. I knew many of the students who put themselves through that just for the qualifications to serve in so quote-unquote administrative capacities this agenda item refers to. I therefore resent the implied fecklessness or propensity for graft for such public servants in the opposition language of this agenda item. I would encourage the members here to vote against the opposition language, and these public servants, on a personal note, deserve to have their integrity defended for once. Thank you.
Any other comments from the public? Okay. Board discussion?
Yeah, I will just tip my hand, I'm gonna vote no. And normally I very much appreciate when committee puts a lot of work into something. And I think I've said to people that I trust that the committees we put together are very well organized and do a lot of work. But in this particular case, I'm opposed to the opposition. Sorry, I normally would just co-sign the hard work you've done, but I have to agree that there's no evidence for this work being done by somebody other than the utmost professionals. Sorry.
Yeah.
No, go for it.
Yeah, this is a power grab. The executive order by the mayor, basically, they call it streamlining, but they're throwing away a lot of the processes where there's public input and due process. Also, the executive order refers to temporary shelters and affordable housing types. So temporary shelters under 12.03 includes homeless shelters. So this will streamline the establishment of homeless shelters in our community. It's not only low-income housing, but it will apply to homeless shelters as well. So I think the community needs to have input into this rather than streamlining this. I think it's got a broader brush other than 100% affordable housing because it does include homeless shelters. So we need to given our homeless situation here, we need to scrutinize approval of those shelters very carefully. So.
Yeah, thank you. This really seems to be streamlining it to a point of ministerial automatic approval. Doesn't sound like there's much discretion. I know the city. It's really taking away all of our due process, and very little discretion will be involved in this, is my opinion. Thus, it'll be rubber stamped. That's my opinion. Everything, regardless.
Good, Jerry and Dimitri.
Jerry? No? Dimitri?
Yeah, I mean, I think these are tough times. I'm not sure that we can have long approval processes for more and more housing, affordable housing in our community, and say solve the homelessness issue that's in our community. I think that we do need to streamline 100% affordable housing. I understand that causes a lot of fear and trepidation about what's going to happen to our neighborhood. I think that's a legitimate concern. But I don't see how we're going to solve the affordable housing crisis that we're in if we don't do something to expedite it. There's just simply too much red tape for anybody who wants to develop in any way, shape, or form to have to go through to be able to move the change along that I think we all really kind of want.
Okay, I just want to go to the public. Yeah, go ahead.
I just had a question in regards to the comment that everything would be rubber stamped. Is there any evidence or, precedent that we could pull from in regards to that?
Well, there's a lot of different functions in LA city government that's just ministerial. And this sounds like one of them to me. That's all I have to say.
Yeah, I just think when it comes to housing and development and approval, that's probably the slowest thing we have. So even if that were to be rubber stamped, I can't imagine it would be, a new homeless shelter on every corner.
I think my issue with this is just that, like everything else that's problematic, everyone elected tries to move it away. If it's a topic that's too heavy, it ends up as a ballot measure as opposed to making legislation. Here, in the current situation we have, where C4 was strongly in favor of a 100% affordable home in the middle of a building, in the middle of a single-family home, we could pick up the phone and say to Nithya, what's that about? Right? And then she's accountable for the decision and the advocacy for changing the single-family home nature of that neighborhood for purposes of putting up, was it 78 homes with no parking? Was that what the one was?
7 stories.
7 stories with no parking in the middle of a single-family home neighborhood. We can have that discussion. The discussion is you advocated for this. The discussion is the solution to the homeless problem housing first or services first, right? If we don't have the
Cross.
council person accountable for the decision, and they can say, I'm sorry, it happened at the DMV, then all of this will happen without any accountability. Why are we electing these people at all then? So I agree, we need housing, we need services, but it needs to be, but the delivery and the deliberation of those needs to be accountable. Making this a ministerial effect takes away our vote of, what are you doing?
Well said, Chip.
And our planning departments become all too powerful as it is in the last decade.
I just want to say that I've been to a couple of hearings, planning hearings. And what's happening now in the city is pretty disturbing. So they're building out, and mostly in lower income neighborhoods, they're building out lot to lot. And they're saying, like one building, for example, had, it was supposed to have 29,000 square feet of open space, which would be room for trees or whatever. And they didn't. They built out 15 feet to the end, and the open space was the roof and their balconies. So this particular piece of land had like about 4 beautiful trees on it. They were going to raise those trees. So now this area is just going to be concrete, no green. And this is what I fear about fast tracking housing, is that the sustainability issues in the city are going to be, it's going to look like Blade Runner we're going to have. And we're not going to have trees. We're just going to have concrete and rain and people in, never mind.
I propose an amendment.
Yeah.
May I propose an amendment that we accept, that we take off the last sentence that sets the stage for potential abuse and threatens democratic principles? I think that we don't.
I accept that.
And I approve that we approve it with that amendment.
By the way, we have exactly what Adele is talking about coming to 129 or 12750 Moore Park, where it's going to be 5 stories, and the normal setbacks for apartments are gone, where trees or plants could be are gone. Even the front, it's going to come up where all the apartments on Moore Park have maybe set back 20 feet, it's going to be set back 5. So
Right.
this building's going to totally stand out from the whole rest of the block.
And not have any.
And no backyard.
And no green.
No open space.
All the more reason to get the river up.
Yeah. So
Heather had an issue?
Yeah, I guess my real issue is not that I don't trust the planners to enact boundaries and to ministerially approve these without an appeal. That doesn't bother me. Streamlining the process, the plan department has been bogged down with cases and everything's been slow. The problem is that the shape of the building that the ED1 allows these monolithic buildings that you get an additional 33 feet in height. You don't have to adhere to a lot of these side yards. So yes, you're streamlining it, but you're getting these monolithic boxes. And I think that the problem with the ED1 is not that you have a planner looking at the constraints of what's available and getting the submitted development and saying, yes, it complies or it doesn't comply. What I'm afraid of is that that the restraints aren't in there to make sure buildings have some sort of articulation, some sort of greenery around them, all of these other things. And I think I don't have a problem with the planner approving the project as long as it met those restraints and nobody's really looking or saying, okay, no problem with that. But ED1 also has to have restrictions. You want 33 feet in height? That's plenty enough room for you to be able to recover the costs on the building for creating 100% affordable. However, I do want to see a wedding cake on the frontage of Moore Park. I do want it, where you have tiered. I do want to see that you have a minimum of X, Y, and Z, plantings or whatever it is. And if you can accommodate that, then go ahead. And I think that planners will be able to enact that on a ministerial basis. But I think the problem is I think there's going to be a lot of monolithic and cheap facades as a result of this. And I don't think that cheap facades should be in place. If anything, they should be a little bit better. I mean, if you're going to go this direction. So I don't know who would be spoken to about looking at ED1 and seeing what the actual constraints would be that aren't in there, as far as I know. So.
That would be a land use motion, which we could bring forward.
But
I think-
wouldn't it be better to go back and rework this motion to sort of include that?
Well, this motion goes to whether or not the planning department should have the right to
Streamline.
to
Two different
streamline
issues.
and allow planners to grant projects under ED1 without an appeal, is what they're saying. And I don't have a problem with that. These people very much look at the project and look at the constraints. They're not, they're not out there saying, yes, let's try and put as much housing out there and I don't care what it looks like. They're not like that. But they do need to be told what the parameters of what that should be. And if they do know what the parameters of that should be, I do believe that they adhere to those parameters. So I would look at the parameters.
But will the project still occur?
Those parameters, they don't seem to exist, to your point.
Pardon?
Those parameters don't exist, they're about square footage. So
They are about
take
square
it to the
footage,
property
but
line,
you're-
the more
they're
footage,
looking-
the more units.
Yes, but you're also looking at the fact that the TOC gives you 1 story and then 2 stories depending on which area you're in, and TOC areas are restricted by where the location of mass transit is. If you do density bonus, you can do, normally 1 level, 1 story, you can go off menu, you can get more.
Sure.
It's not that there aren't methodologies to getting those increases, and actually without doing 100% affordability. So if you want to do 100% affordability and someone's going to give you 3 stories and 33 feet straight out of the box, you can still have some other restrictions. Now, am I saying that for sure in all areas you have to have a 15-foot setback from the rear yard? No, I'm not. But I'm saying it can't be 5 maybe, or perhaps it needs to be tiered back from a ground floor of, say, 0 setback and tearing back 5 feet on the 2nd level before you go up. I mean, there can be still parameters to that, and I don't know that those are in there. But if they were in there, then it wouldn't matter.
Generally, you're speaking to design.
Yeah, well, I think that's what everyone's speaking to, is
Yeah.
what it'll look like. And we've been in plenty of cities where you have no setbacks at all. I mean, you've been to San Francisco, there's buildings that are completely glued together, so, and we're not accustomed to that in Los Angeles to some extent.
Great.
So,
So you didn't get a second on your amendment, did you?
Let me try. So I hear what Heather's saying. I think that's a different issue which should be taken up at a different time, but should be taken up. I propose that we drop the last sentence as Barry has agreed and approve this motion as amended.
Second.
That's not in the motion, though.
What?
That sentence, because that's not highlighted. The motion's above it.
No, the sentence is taken as the last one of the motion. This sets the stage for potential abuse and threatens democratic principles.
No, your motion's in the bolded. Do you see it's
Oh,
all
it goes
bolded?
to Karen Bass's directive?
And it stops.
We're not on motion B. We're
No,
on
that's motion A.
I'm sorry.
No. It actually
TSA.
doesn't. Mayor Karen Bassett's executive directive 1, period. The proposed ordinance bypasses due process.
Okay.
Yeah, that 1 is the end of the previous sentence. Not a.
Directive 1, it's called Directive 1.
Why don't we
Right.
change the 1 and spell it out O-N-E? O-N-E, period. Then we have another sentence, and then the last sentence is what we're taking out, and that's what Chip
So we
wants
have
a
to vote
second
on that.
on.
If it's been-
Let's move
it's been-
on.
I propose that we,
Well, wait, you already
I
did it, she
propose-
seconded it.
oh.
And so let's vote. We're voting on taking the last sentence out. Richard Niederberg?
No, I'm just seconding it.
No, she already seconded. I'm calling the vote. Oh, I should go in order, otherwise it's gonna mess you up, right, parents?
It's okay.
Jen Bladen? It's just to take out that
I
sentence.
am, yes.
Yes? Kevin Burkhardt?
Yes.
Kim Clements, absent. Dean Cutler?
Yeah.
Dimitri Getsonis?
Yes.
Ansley Gaiman?
Yes.
Jeff Hardwick?
Yes.
Charlotte Larson?
Yes.
Heather Lee?
Yes.
Jerry Lewis?
Yes.
Chip Meehan?
Yes,
Richard Niederberg?
Yes,
Lori Rittenberg?
Yes.
Drew Shaw's absent. Adele Slaughter, yes, that carries. Now we're gonna vote on the motion without that last sentence. Do you want me to repeat it? Please?
no.
Great.
I recommend we approve the motion as amended.
Second.
Jen Bladen,
No.
Kevin Burkhardt,
Yes.
Kim Clemens absent, Dean Cutler,
Yeah.
Dimitri Katsonis,
No.
Ainsley Gaiman,
Yes.
Jeff Hardwick,
Yes.
Charlotte Larson,
Yes.
Heather Lee,
Yes.
Jerry Lewis,
Yes.
Chip Meehan,
Yes.
Richard Niederberg,
Yeah,
Lori Rittenberg,
Yes.
Drew Shaw is absent, Adele Slaughter, yes. Motion carries.
Okay.
No, I'm sorry, I
Okay,
meant no.
motion B,
I meant no.
the Board of the Studio City Neighborhood Council.
sorry.
SCN.
Hold on,
No.
hold on,
Yeah, I
hold
got
on, Barry.
I got you.
Thank you.
I could. Motion B, Barry, you're up
The
next.
Board of the Studio City Neighborhood Council, SCNC, requests Mayor Karen Bass to add the, quote, crisis and incident response through community-led engagement, unquote, circle, in parentheses, response program to the portion of Studio City east of Coldwater Canyon Avenue in LAPD North Hollywood Division. Currently, the program is only in the portion of Studio City west of Coldwater Canyon, including Sherman Oaks in LAPD Van Nuys Division. And this is a program that's in Sherman Oaks and part of Studio City that we would like to see in all of Studio City. And Studio City's divided between two different LAPD divisions, so we've got to get North Hollywood Division to do it so we can get the rest of Studio City in it.
And can you just say quick, just so does everybody know what this crisis and incident response through community engagement is? I do. Okay.
Yeah, you're supposed to read it.
I did.
I know you
looking
did.
up for my fellow board members.
Oh,
Thank you.
Is there public comment?
Is there any public comment on this? Yes, Brandon?
I suppose Troy Spann, who's the director of the Valley section, there's only 4 sections currently in the Valley, I believe, 4 clumps where this kind of a pilot program, they're trying to figure out what's going on. Crisis is basically a non-police response to homeless issues, that's all it really is. I do think Ulysses Hernandez brought a Denver contingent a while back that had the same kind of thing, they were doing that in Denver and other cities. We're trying to over here, the free police, they don't respond to a homeless incident, non-violent homeless incident. Circle will respond to it, and they have decompression, I think it's called decompression areas where people can relax, if you talk to them, give them something to drink, something to eat. And it's kind of a softer way of handling the situations. But right now, with the mayor's budget coming up, from what I understand, they are gonna be expanding into other areas. And I was talking to Barry during the government affairs committee, probably a good idea, he said it's probably a good idea to put it on note that we really do want one, an ING. But they will be expanding throughout the city, coming, I think it's the mayor's budget is in June, I believe, that's when they voted, correct? June or July?
Budget.
Yeah, so there's that.
And as part of the conversation that Brandon brought up, it was Studio City and let's fund the homeless problem. Doesn't typically happen in the same sentence. So the idea was to get ahead of it and saying that we would like to be part of this. And Brandon and Barry also brought up the idea that the other pilot program is physically adjacent to us. So just moving it over physically might be more, an easier lift than starting another pilot program that was far executed. So we're just saying, we're in line for this. We think that more services are a good idea. Send them over.
And I think this addresses the question you had earlier, Adele.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And we've heard good things from Sherman Oaks about the people there, about this program, so.
Sounds great. Sounds fantastic.
I suggest we approve the motion.
Second? I second. All right. I'll call for a vote. Jen Bladen,
Yes.
Kevin Burkhardt,
Yes.
Kim Clements is absent, Dean Cutler,
Yes.
Dimitri Katsonis.
Yes.
Ainsley Gaiman,
Yes.
Jeff Hardwick.
Yes.
Charlotte Larson.
Yep.
Heather Lee,
Yes.
Jerry Lewis,
Yes.
Chip Meehan,
Yes.
Richard Niederberg,
here, yes.
Lori Rittenberg?
Yes.
Drew Shaw absent, Dale Slaughter, yes.
Okay, moving to the last motion C, take that, Scott, it's 9:15. Last motion, Barry.
The board of the Studio City Neighborhood Council supports the Los Angeles Planning Department's effort to update the CEQA thresholds of significance and methodologies to analyze impacts for construction noise and vibration, as well as to historic resources. The SCNC won't pass final judgment on any updates until the final recommendations are released and a council file is created. And I'm actually tempted to pull this because I'm afraid if we pass this, it says we're okay with it before we even see what it is. And I just today or yesterday got something that the comment period's been extended because people are freaking out because they don't like the fact that this document may change the threshold of noise, construction noise levels, which worries me. Can we pull it? Is that?
I think that's a good idea. Good call.
And we'll come back when we know more.
Yeah, good call.
Okay.
Yep.
Yep.
I think it was premature.
Yeah, I do too.
Okay, so brief comments, as long as you need, from any board members on any items you want to talk about that were not on the agenda, pressing issues?
I just want to clarify that second Saturday with Tree People was an official announcement when you made it earlier?
I'm waiting to hear from Yvonne, if his mom's in the room, or Ivan, if she is not.
Okay.
Castillo, who has been our advocate at Tree People, I will know tomorrow about that. And then I'll get with him and we'll figure out what's going on and how that will be messaged with their request. It will not, the Studio City Neighborhood Council / Tree People Saturday morning cleanup on the ZEV will not appear on the Tree People calendar as a volunteer opportunity broadly. It'll be only populated through us. So I need to find out what that language looks like so they don't feel that they're excluding anybody.
But will they help us advertise it?
No.
No.
No, they
The
won't.
answer is
It'll
we don't
only
want
be
to.
through
We
us.
don't want them?
No, he's just saying that's that's not.
It's gonna be only for us. Because if it was
We
open,
get to advertise it.
we get to advertise it, because otherwise they could fill it up and our people wouldn't have a chance of getting there.
Okay. Thank you.
Anything else? Okay. Oh, the most important thing of the day. Jen, is there anything else?
Yes, I apologize for keeping us, but I have 100% certified compostable poop bags. Please do not put them in the green, but please come help yourself to, these have 2 ingredients.
You don't have to use them for yourself, they're for animals.
They're for dogs.
They're for dogs.
So, they are on offer. I bought them with my own money. We were considering using them for, giveaways at events. And so this is an event and I'm giving them away.
Are they Studio City Neighborhood Council branded?
No, not yet.
But what will be Studio City Neighborhood Council branded is the actual holder
We
that
paint.
go in?
No, we're gonna
Maybe.
go, we're gonna go for,
We're working on it.
stickers. Those
So
holders
please,
are,
come help yourselves if you would like, compostable
Okay.
bags. Thank
A
you.
sticker on each bag.
on
These
each one.
don't mummify.
yeah, I'll do it.
If that makes any,
I'll
if
do
you
it.
know what that means.
I'm gonna be in rehab.
Don't mummify. Okay, that's all that.
But we are looking at, the idea was don't poop in the green can, because if fecal matter is in the green can, we lose that whole thing.
You lose the whole truck. And who knows what else.
Yes, please don't put dog poop in the green can.
So we were originally gonna have our logo on the dog, on the poop bags, but that's a
We're still gonna
little more, we're still trying
If
that.
we lived in this.
Step at a time.
Yep. Okay, we're gonna adjourn the meeting at 9:22. Thank you all for coming and all, thank you.